together, which is the iCongo director, Meenu Chopra. We have a small portal, a citizen reporting portal called Dishoom.com, which is run by Shashank Katal, who's the editor. And we just formed a consulting firm to work on holistic CSR practices called iCongo and Intel and Associates, which is actually kind of given direction by a lady called Suchita Gupta, who's a consultant by she's been a consultant at Pricewaterhouse and Ernst & Young, and then is also working in the social sector. So that's the team which has helped to put this together. We're also kind of very obliged to Neelu and Geeta from NDI, who helped us to kind of put the entire thing together at NDI and Gurgaon. Over the past 2 days, this is the third day of the conclave that we're doing in Delhi. We've had various speakers who kind of come and share thoughts on humane capitalism. Some of them have been capitalists themselves, including people like Anu Aga, who spoke about how capitalists need to go beyond the buzzword of CSR and actually get into doing something, which is by employing the triple bottom line approach. We had Rob Doble, president of the Healthcare Services for Omnicom, who came in all the way from New York, and I was very obliged to him because he had to rush back because he didn't inform me earlier, but he had his son's first big rock concert happening today in New York. So he was there with us for 2 days, and he then asked a colleague of his, Yusuf, to be with us today. He was going to share his thoughts on how it makes good sense to do good, because it kind of works well for the corporate image. The reason to think about the Humane Capitalism Conclave and go beyond the buzzword of CSR was because around the time, which was around 8 months ago, and it actually kind of came to me when I was speaking at the US Embassy's forum. And coincidentally, the other two panelists in the forum, one of them was Ramalinga Raju, and the other was a lady called Lisa, who was from Ashoka in Washington. And while speaking at that forum, and after having spoken at various forums on CSR, I realized that mostly when business leaders or people from the CSR community speak about CSR, they mostly come and talk about how much they've spent on a project or what kind of money they've given to an NGO. There's very rarely any instance of finding how a company is holistically involved in terms of being and leading the change. And I felt that is where the triple bottom line approach comes in. And we went away from the buzzword of CSR and said, what should we call it? Should we call it compassionate capitalism? So we said no. So my teammates said, compassionate capitalism doesn't sound too good. So we said, we'll call it caring capitalism. And then we started discussing with various people to come in as speakers. I'm just giving a little history as to how this came into being. And while we were discussing this with Anu Aga, she said, let's call it the Humane Capitalism Conclave. And that's how the title comes about, the Humane Capitalism Conclave. And the reason to do this conclave was to kind of share the basic idea of what we are trying to do. And we said, when industry leaders speak about we are in the Fortune 500 list, the most wealthiest people or the most powerful list, which is done by Time or someone else, hardly anyone speaks about the humaneness that they have or what they are doing for society. Yeah. And we said it's not about power, influence, and wealth. And what good is all of that if you are not doing something for the society and the community that has actually kind of given you that status that you have today? And that's where we said that let's kind of create a list of 100 caring businesses and business leaders. And I think there are a lot of companies out there. For example, British Petroleum, which is a company which is doing a lot of work with communities in India, trying to kind of empower them by giving them cooking ranges, which takes care of the woman's health, as she doesn't have to kind of inhale the fumes anymore. And at the same time, they take care of the environment because people have stopped cutting, firewood. Or a foundation like Praj, which from the very beginning made it an inherent part of their business model to say that whatever tech that we create, we would share with the community by renewable energy. So there are various cutting-edge examples out there. And the whole idea is to create this list so that it can inspire the others to kind of follow and say that we need to employ the triple bottom line approach, which is that we need to meet our financial bottom lines, and that's very important. But we also need to see how we can kind of take care of responsible and went into the word caring. Because a very simple thought and no rocket science was that if I cared and love my son or my daughter or our children, we are automatically responsible for them. So similarly, if I various communities and is also an auditor by profession. So that's how the entire partnership happen. And through the day, we'll be having various thought leaders share some thoughts with you. And we begin with a presentation on CSR by the students of MDI, and which will be followed by a presentation on CSR aligned brands by Yusuf Hatia of Reshma Hiller. We have a presentation on corporate social responsibility creating awareness by Jay Sehgal of the Sehgal Foundation. Reflections on Humane Capitalism by Christopher Doyle, who's already kind of cautioned me that he may be rocking the boat a little. And CSR and Consumer Satisfaction by Rajan Gandhi. So we hope to make this very interactive and look forward to your feedback in making the process better. So please feel free to participate in the entire process. Thank you.
We have Mr. Yusuf Hatia, who is the Senior Vice President of Reshma Hiller. Mr. Hatia has over 12 years of PR experience working across a number of sectors, including technology, education, government relations, and finance. He has worked for blue chip companies such as the British Telecom and Fujitsu, and including the Office of the Deputy Prime Minister in the UK. Mr. Hatia has also worked in the Middle East and advised on pre-IPO communication, investor relations, and corporate profile building to the global markets. He is currently based in Mumbai, working as a strategic PR advisor to the Tata Consultancy Services and other clients. His area of expertise include corporate communication, strategic consultation, media relations, and crisis management. Mr. Hatia, vertical sector experience in the technology, healthcare, corporate, government, and financial communication. He has also worked for the not-for-profit UK government initiatives, NESTA, and investment projects that involve CSR work in the Middle East and Africa. So I request you to take on the stage, and I also request Saji to present some of the money.
Good morning, and thank you very much for inviting me, Jerry, to this very important gathering and to share the stage with such a distinguished company on a very important subject. I'm sure that there are better experts than myself on this subject on the panel and in the audience, so I'm not going to take up too much of your time. As was introduced, I'm part of Lashman Hillard's fledgling office in India, and I've been working in PR, marketing and branding for over 12 years. I've worked for UK organizations. I'm doing some work with TCS, with companies like Piramal here in India, where we've set up an office for the last 2 years. My company also works with the Gates Foundation, the Goldman Sachs Foundation, and a number of initiatives that are promoting social causes such as malnutrition and rural banking in India. Now, I've had the opportunity to work on CSR issues with some of the best organizations across 3 different continents. And I have to say that it's one of the activities that within corporates is controversial and very widely misunderstood. Corporate social responsibility still needs definition, and there's a need to understand what people mean by CSR, because it fluctuates from organization to organization. There are some companies who see CSR as a way of either clearing up a problem that they have or to address an issue that they're facing. But in its purest form, CSR is just that. Corporate taking responsibility for society. And there are many examples here in India and around the world of companies that are practicing CSR properly